Hi there.
Oh, hey mate, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Good. I go around recording conversations I have with anglers about mental health, life, and fishing. Would you be open to having a chat?
Sure.
Sure. Oh, fantastic. How long have you been fishing for?
I've been fishing for probably 47 years.
Wow. Where did you start with your fly fishing journey?
Well, I started fishing bait with my grandfather. It was my favorite thing to do. He would come get me on a Sunday, and I knew that I was in for a good time because I'd look out in the driveway and I'd see his car with the cane rod sticking out the window, which is really how I began fishing. Coarse fishing, I guess they call it in England, with bait, using bamboo too, but not refined in the way that a bamboo fly rod was refined. So I loved that sort of fishing for about 7 years, and then I was in the Smoky Mountains where I grew up, near where I grew up, and I looked downstream and I saw someone fly fishing, which I'd never seen before, and it completely captured my imagination. It was just so much more elegant and refined and successful than what I had grown up doing, which I loved, largely because I did it with my granddad. But yeah, that was my first exposure to fly fishing.
I'm just going to come up here.
Yeah, you bet. And then years later, when I went to university, there was a fly shop pretty close, and a retired oral surgeon named Jack. And I used to go on Saturdays and talk to Jack about fly fishing. And I pretty much taught myself based on my conversations with Jack. That might have been a fish, I'm not sure. So he kind of told me the fundamentals, and I bought a really basic fly rod, and I used to practice casting on the grass, and fell in love with it. They were mainly smallmouth bass in the small streams near my university, but I could drive to the mountains where they had trout, and trout were just magical to me. They were so much more beautiful than the panfish and bass that I grew up catching. They just lived and they do live in the prettiest places in the world. The most gorgeous rivers, the most spectacular scenery. So yeah, Jack helped me build a fly rod, and I was pretty much completely obsessed with it. And I have been pretty much ever since.
Awesome. What would be one of your most memorable fishing moments?
There are so many. Obviously, all those moments with my granddad, because he's gone. So, all those are incredibly powerful. But I mean, I'm so lucky. I've been able to fish all around the world. I mean, the most memorable thing I have ever seen was being on the Gaspé Peninsula in a beautiful Sharps canoe, looking down, seeing a 20-pound Atlantic salmon about 9 feet down on the bottom, and putting on a number 2 bomber dry fly, casting it, and seeing that 20-pound fish come off the bottom of the river and absolutely demolish it. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Wow, I can imagine that would have been such a rush.
Yeah, it was incredible. I spent a long time chasing steelhead. Another memory would be fishing in British Columbia. We'd just been dropped off by helicopter and I was fishing a tail out, swinging a wet fly, looking at the tail out, and out of the corner of my eye, about here in the pool, I saw this massive steelhead, probably the biggest steelhead I've ever seen, jump and go tail walking up the river. And I thought, my God, what's going on with that steelhead? Because my line was facing this way.
Yeah.
And it had taken my fly, gone all the way upstream before I even realized what had happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to land that fish, which was a lifetime fish. Every fish is special, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've been lucky to catch a lot of lifetime fish, but they're all special. I just missed one. Dang.
There's one right there. Can you see it?
Yeah, he spooked. I probably spooked him with the hook set, but there's one right there, and he took it. He's not going to take it again, I suspect.
Does fishing help your mental health?
Oh, no question. Yeah, I mean, nothing kind of recenters me and brings peace the way that fishing does. It's my meditation, it's like my healing. Yeah, 100%. I don't know of anything that I do other than spending time with my children that helps my mental health the way that fishing does.
All gotta keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. I can certainly change flies and talk
Cool.
at the same time.
Has fishing ever helped you through a difficult time in your life?
It is right now, to be honest. Yeah, yeah, it is right now. I lost someone very important to me about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
So
no.
that's yeah, that this is part of the process of healing from that.
Sorry to hear about that.
No, mate. I mean, it happens to all of us, right? It was an older person, and it was her time. But you know, it's always hard to say goodbye.
In the throes of grief.
That's grief. Missing that fish.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. In the throes of grief, how...
Maybe it was bottom.
Just how, as you mentioned before, fly fishing or fishing in general being a way to meditate and I guess bring peace.
Yeah, it's the rhythm of it. It truly is a meditation. I've just started doing more classic meditation, having really been convinced of all the benefits, and I've realized that I've been meditating really all along, you know, for the past 45, 47 years. That's what I was doing all along. I'm not truly emptying my mind in the way that I think you do if you're successful in classic meditation, but it does allow me to eliminate all the other background noise so that I'm truly focused on one thing. And the casting, of course, is almost like a mantra, you know, not something verbal, but something physical, a physical mantra, if that makes sense. Oh, he just rolled on the top.
Do you mind me asking who it was that you lost?
My aunt, who was my mom, really pretty much, who raised me. So I know, yeah, she was the matron in the family. She was the one who took care of everyone. So, yeah.
And was she here in New Zealand?
No, she lived in the States. Wow.
That's
That
a big fish.
is a big fish. I think so.
Yep, that's a brown.
I don't think he's into what I'm... No, definitely not. Yeah, it was my aunt. Yeah, so she... I don't know, she definitely... I didn't fish with her, but this is, as you say, a way to heal and kind of recenter. So... I think you're right. A lot of us use it for that. And it's, another thing that's really important from a mental health standpoint is it's like a medium for friendship. Like most of my best friends fish. And I just got back from a trip with a really good friend that I hadn't seen in a decade. And I wouldn't have seen him if it weren't for the fishing trip. And, especially with what I had going on in my life at the time, it was just amazing to reconnect with him. And he had a lot of wisdom for me. It wasn't expected. It was really just scheduled as a fishing trip, but I learned a lot. He's a very wise man, and so that's just another aspect of it. It's not just the fishing itself, but oftentimes the camaraderie that goes with it.
I agree. I started fly fishing last year.
Yeah.
So I've been fishing for a year now, just over a year. And the friends that I've made so far already, and I guess as I continue to fish, I don't plan on stopping. So I'd hope that those friendships continue to strengthen, to come sort of lifelong friendships. So
Yeah, it's powerful when someone shares your passion, right?
100%.
You sort of usually get someone just straight out of the gate in a way that in another context you might not.
As you know, men struggle a lot to talk. Do you find that similar over in the States?
You mean like men not addressing their mental health needs? I think it's universal, right? I mean, it's the tough stereotype, and you want to be strong for your whānau. You want to be, that's kind of the cultural expectation, and it's what you want. You want to be there. You want to be the rock for everyone. So I think it's pretty much universal that men have a tendency to neglect their own mental health, and eventually it's going to boil up, isn't it?
Yep, most certainly. And I find in my work that I do, run men's groups, one of the common themes that comes from that is, I thought I was alone. This thought that I was the only one going through this, and then to find that, well, in actual fact, you're not, was quite comforting.
Yeah.
Even though they were still going through difficult times.
Yeah, absolutely. Having someone with whom you share an experience really makes that experience so much easier to bear. And oftentimes they have good advice, like my buddy back in Canada.
What was some of his advice?
Well, it was the advice of his grandmother that she actually gave by example rather than verbally. But that was just to see everything or try to. It's not an easy endeavor. Try to see everything in as objective and a bright as light as possible. To look for the goodness in a situation, to always look for the goodness in people, and to remember how incredibly lucky we are, because it's easy to get mired down, right? In the everyday stuff, the small frustrations. His grandmother had been through a lot, and she had this remarkable ability to always see, it seems maybe a little cliche, but always look for the bright side and be grateful. I guess that's what it is, really, to be grateful. He told me this story. It was about his grandmother, who had been in Europe during World War II, and Adolf Hitler came up, and instead of commenting on what an incredibly awful, undisputably awful human being was, her thought
her comment to him was that he must have had a lot of pain inside. And I think that's pretty remarkable to be able to look past all the bad and kind of have empathy with someone who is very difficult to have empathy with. So if she could have empathy with someone as evil as Adolf Hitler, I should be able to have empathy with everyone, right?
Wow, yeah. Typically, our default behavior as human, we get attracted to the negative. Sometimes get
Yeah.
attracted to the worst. And I guess I can only imagine a testament to who she must have been as a human being to be
Yeah.
able to look past, genocide essentially,
Yeah.
and see the pain. Yeah, that's right. There must have been a lot of pain, or there certainly a lot going on for the atrocities that he, was a part of.
But it was pretty telling. My buddy, we fished for 8 days. He didn't catch a single salmon. And every day he was as positive and happy and bright and funny as if he'd caught 5 salmon. So he learned a lot from his grandma.
That's special.
Yeah, and that was a lesson to me too. It made me very very cognizant. It made me really think deep and think hard about my aunt and all the lessons she had to teach me. And I knew of a lot. I mean, there are many, many things that were so obvious, but when I really stopped and thought about it, there were even more lessons. So I owe that to my buddy for helping me stop and really think about everything I had to learn from my aunt. I'm still sorting it out, everything that she taught me, taught us, taught her whole family.
Special human being, eh?
Ah, yeah. Yeah. Amazing lady.
Right, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's enough.
I can see 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to pan the camera over.
All right, man. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's one
There's
right
at least
there,
4 I
too.
can see. We're already loaded up to go now.
Yeah, well, hopefully this rain's going to change things a little bit.
I'd love to see you catch a trout a bit.
Well, I would too, man. But it's all, the nice thing is I've been fishing long enough and I've had enough success that the catching of the fish is just a bonus.
Yeah.
It's just icing on the cake. Yeah. Wow, they're really stacked up now. They've come right back into the middle of that gravelly run, haven't they?
They have.
They look frisky. I thought I was going to get a grab. I've gone with something small and black,
Oh, yep.
thinking that the browns might
That's a good
be
idea.
more likely to eat it, but I might go back to a bright fly since they are mostly rainbows. There's so many fish out there, it's just hard to believe that one of them isn't going to eat this small nymph. But that's okay. I got lots of different flies. When I was in high school, a good friend lost a sibling very tragically. It was absolutely awful. My good friend was his older sister, and it was inconceivable how anyone could recover from losing a sibling, but we all were there. We all just spent as much time as we could with her and her family, and I think just the knowledge, what do you say? You can't say anything to someone who's lost a sibling very tragically, but just knowing that there are people who are there who care about you and support you, I think is what got her through. Even, it's not necessary that you work through things verbally, because sometimes there's just nothing you can say to make it better, but feeling like the strength of friendships around you can help you get through. I don't think you can get through without, those sorts of major traumas without the support of friends. Family too, of course, but friends are important, as important as family, I think.
What is a lesson life has taught you, or what is one of life's hardest lessons you've learned?
Well, heaps, but one is that it never hurts to ask. I've been surprised again and again about things that followed when I was willing to just politely ask, even if it seemed very unlikely. People have always been very generous. For me, specifically mentorship, I have benefited tremendously from professionals who are farther along than me, helping guide me, give me advice, and helping me advance in my career and in fishing too. I mean, mentorship's incredibly important. If you fish with someone who's fished for decades, it can save you many years and dramatically increase your productivity, although my productivity right now is not too great.
What advice would you give to someone going through a difficult time?
Just be willing to lean on your friends and feel their support. Be open. Tell them what's going on. It's very surprising to me how much insight, how often friends have been through the same experiences. And you can learn from their wisdom and how they made it through, or just knowing that someone else has been through that and that you can make it through is incredibly important, powerful.